The end of the session brought a new round of criticism of the Texas House from Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick in the Senate. He blamed calendar management in the House for blocking some of his key priorities, like the elections overhaul, the transgender student athletes bill, and legislation to ban taxpayer-funded lobbying. But with a special session coming, Patrick has another opportunity to push his priorities. I spoke with the Lieutenant Governor one-on-one about his views for the needs going forward. Do you feel that that a special session will help in the Senate, essentially? I mean, able to tackle more topics than if you're able to convince the governor to put some more of those things on?
Well, I've given the governor a list of bills. The thing he did, which was very smart, is he has vetoed Article 10 of the budget, which pays for all legislative salaries. Now, senators and representatives, myself, we make $600 a month, so that doesn't impact us, but this impacts every employee. They would lose their job in the end of August. And why did he do that? Because we've heard threats and rumors that the Democrats have decided not to come back at all, even with a special session, to stop us from passing any legislation. So if they don't come back at all, they're going to lose their entire staffs, and people are going to be out of work. So this says, if you want to come back and protect your staff, you need to come back to work in a special session. You're going to vote on these bills. If you lose, you lose. You don't get to go home and cry about it and act like you're a spoiled legislator. Just come and do the job. You win some votes, you lose some votes. And that will get them back.
On the energy grid, do you feel that the Texas legislature delivered for Texans on the power grid?
We did a lot, but we have more to do. We have totally revamped ERCOT, the board, the PUC board. I mean, major changes. Winterization, we're making sure we have some money to keep ERCOT operating so they don't have a liquidity issue. But the thing that we did not do, that the Senate asked to do multiple times, was to provide relief for ratepayers. Ratepayers. I'm very unhappy with the House 2 times turning down the Senate. And again, 29 out of 31 senators, pretty strong message that we wanted to give billions of dollars in rate relief. And I said last night on the Senate floor, when we come back, if we get another bill that puts more money towards industry, I'm not bringing it to the floor. I want money to come to the floor for ratepayers. We've taken a stand on that all session, and we're not going to give up on that issue.
You mentioned that you've sent the governor a list. What does the Dan Patrick wish list look like?
Well, I mentioned Senate Bill 7, obviously, the election security bill that went down. Senate Bill 10, taxpayer-funded lobbying. Senate Bill 12, which is censorship by on social media. Whether you're a liberal, independent, or conservative, you shouldn't be censored on what you say, unless it's something that shouldn't be said. I'm talking about politically, you shouldn't be censored for what you believe. And those 3 bills, the UIL, Senate Bill 29, there are a number of pieces of legislation that did make it across the finish line, but those are the highlights.
And you'd rather do that on the early side as opposed to waiting for a redistricting session?
Well, it's going to be next to impossible to do that. Redistricting is hard. We've got to redraw the congressional maps, the Senate maps, the House maps, and we're going to have about $16 billion coming in from the federal government. We have to figure out how we're going to spend it. And when you're redrawing people's districts, most of them aren't happy because it changes every 10 years just by population. It's not a good time to try to get a vote sometimes. So that has to be its own separate deal and should not be mixed in with politics.
The House Speaker responds to critics who say he should have done more to force a vote on Republican bills.
I have the ability to lock the doors and arrest House members. I was not going to do that.
The message he sent at a key meeting before the walkout. Plus, a top Democrat speaks out about party plans that failed.
It happens every legislative session. Priorities don't get passed in the legislative process.
Why he's not putting the blame on Republicans.